and milk.
Bowie probably went a little bit Disneyland or Dizzyland and, you know, just enjoy the moment, but realize at the end of the day that you can get caught up in this machinery.
He was about to embark on this point on a succession of extraordinarily strange records, and I think it's fair to say his mind at this point is not the most ordered it had ever been.
Bowie's fragile personal state was reflected perfectly when, in 1975, he made his major acting debut, playing the extraterrestrial Thomas Jerome Newton in Nicholas Roeg's The Man Who Fell to Earth.
His performance in The Man Who Fell to Earth is the only one, I think, of his thespian outings which does stand up to much scrutiny, largely because at this point, in playing a kind of slightly deranged, exceedingly paranoid, not entirely on this planet person, he wasn't having to work terribly hard.
The Man Who Fell to Earth is an excellent movie, and it does trade well off the fact that there's such an uncanny coincidence with the fate of the character. And, you know, and what a metaphor it represents for what Bowie was going through at the time, you know, an almost exact metaphor.
Oh, I thought The Man Who Fell to Earth was phenomenal acting and a great choice for a movie for him. Fabulous.
This is one of the other reasons for believing that this period is one of his most creative and fecund, because not only does he make great records, Young Americans and Station to Station, absolute powerhouse records for me, but he also makes his only good film, his one great acting performance in The Man Who Fell to Earth, probably because he's kind of playing about as close to himself as he can get.
David Bowie has made one or two rather comical forays into cinema. You think of him playing himself as a young schoolboy in Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, and Absolute Beginners and that sort of thing.
A promotional still from The Man Who Fell to Earth would adorn the front cover of Bowie's next studio album. His inner turmoil had manifested itself into a character known as the Thin White Duke, whose bleaker interpretation of soul emerged in January 1976. It was called Station to Station.
Thin White Duke, I mean, very frightening character, really. I think, I mean, where's he returned from? You know, who is he? Throwing darts in lovers' eyes, you know, who is this scary Thin White Duke? And I think it was just the height of, despite what Bowie says in Station to Station, you know, he said it's not the side effects of the cocaine. I think it was. I mean, it was an ambitious, spectacular, visionary thing, but nothing like it at the time.
David Bowie himself says he remembers very little about recording the album, and sort of, you know, I remember one person describing it as an album that, you know, it sounds like a postcard from a place that you really wouldn't want to visit. There is a sense that it does actually very accurately reflect, you know, the sort of desensitized state in which Bowie was in at the time.
I don't think Station to Station has lasted as well as Young America. I mean, it's still a really good album, but I think Young Americans has got a warmth about it that Station to Station has, and Station to Station's got is a bigger sounding album, but there's something that kind of, which makes you even more, keeps you at a distance.
The track itself, Station to Station, is held in awe by most music critics, I'd say. You know, even sort of people who hadn't liked Bowie's stuff before that thought that the energy and ambition and imagination involved in this 9-minute track and the willingness to, you know, test and probe into different areas was very commendable.
The title track is 10 minutes, it's episodic, it's almost like a mini opera. That sets the scene. It goes spiralling on, with Bowie getting more and more demented, going, it's not the side effects of the cocaine.
Welcome to the men who protect you and I. Oh, drink, raise a glass high. It's not the side effects of the cocaine.
The title track, which goes on for about a week and is about Lord knows what, is a fairly unbeatable exemplar of the kind of ungovernable hubris that excessive enthusiasm for cocaine does tend to promote.
I don't think Station to Station is a slightly pretentious track. I think it's an incredibly pretentious track. I mean, it's 38 minutes long, you know, the first 5 minutes of which are a train pulling into or out of a station or whatever it is. It's hugely pretentious. And it is, you know, it's clearly David Bowie again, having taken quite a lot of drugs and feeling rather pleased with himself. But it's got a magnificence. Despite all of that, he sort of pulls it off. And every now and then I'll sort of lock myself in a room and play it and sit through it and think there's something grandiose about this.
While the title track was an experimental epic odyssey, the rest of the album seemed a more conventional progression. In fact, all of the other tracks, including the widely recognised Golden Years, was later subject to release as a single.
Golden Years was a big single, was a great hit, and it's almost perfect construction, Golden Years. Everything about it, from the lyrical interplay to the hooks, is just absolutely gorgeous.